Tikal is one of the largest archaeological sites and urban centers of the pre-Columbian Mayan civilization. It is located in what is now northern Guatemala. Some pieces of the city were built by the Mayans before 4th century BC. They occupied the city until it met its downfall at the end of the 10th century AD. This brief overview of Tikal will leave you knowing more about the Mayan life in Tikal, the architecture of Tikal, and the downfall of Tikal.
Population estimations for the ancient city of Tikal range the population from as low as 10,000 people to as high as 90,000 people. Tikal was a major trading hub for the Mayan civilization. Therefore, many of these people were traders going into and coming out of the city. Because of the low availability of salt around Tikal, many of these merchants traded salt to the city dwellers in exchange for items produced in and near the city, such as cloth or livestock. These trades most likely took place in the main plaza, the flat ground between the two temple structures.
The taller temple, the Temple of the Great Jaguar, also known as the Temple of Tikal, stands at 154 feet tall. On top of the temple stands a richly decorated burial shrine. Deep inside of the temple is buried the Mayan ruler Chan. His image is depicted on the roof comb. The Temple of the Masks, the smaller three-layer temple, stands opposite the Temple of the Great Jaguar. It stands at 131 feet tall and is topped by a roof comb with 2 masks. It is very eroded. The temple was built in honor of Chan's wife, Lady Kalajun Unemo. The inside of the temple has been defaced throughout the years by both ancient and modern graffiti.
Tikal was at its peak of civilization during 750 BC. The city was economically and militarily successful during this time. However, after this peak of glory, Tikal began to decline. There isn't much hard evidence to support this, but archaeologists have been able to put together a very strong theory based on clues collected from historical events of the time, Mayan texts, and notes from the Spanish explorers of the 17th century. There are signs that after some point, the water storage infrastructure ceased to be maintained, and the palaces of the elite were burned, suggesting social collapse. The site was gradually abandoned by the end of the 10th century. This occurred more or less at the same time as the abandonment of other Maya centers throughout the lowland jungles, as other post-classic sites in the northern Yucatan, such as Chichen Itza, began to rise to power. However, Tikal was never completely lost. Even in its ruined state, living Maya peoples used it from time to time for their religious purposes, and it was probably somewhat inhabited into the 18th century. It was officially discovered in 1881 and 1882 by archaeologist Alfred P. Maudsley.
Since its downfall, Tikal was lost and deserted for centuries. However, local people did not forget about this lost city, and rumors were spread to adventurers. This launched many expeditions in search of Tikal, but because it was far from any modern towns, no explorers reached Tikal until 1848, when Modesto Mendez and Ambrosio Tut happened upon the site. Artist Eusebio Lara accompanied them, and their account of the site was published in Germany 5 years later. Others followed to investigate, map, and photograph Tikal. Today, Tikal is a major tourist attraction with its own museum and surrounding national park.